What is up? What is up? Welcome back to another NBA Rundown brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. I'm your host, Astaire, joined today by AP. AP, we were talking about kind of a weird slate, a little 4-game slate last night. How did last night treat you and how the week go in the streets of the NBA?
Yeah, had a good start to the week on, I believe it was Monday or Tuesday. And yesterday's slate was, those 4-game slates where you have a lot of like really good plays, but some of them don't pan out or hit, the projected points that we think they're going to hit. Can really come down to like having the right stud. And yesterday it was, man, if you had Tatum, if you had Fournier, you were cashing like no matter what. And then CP3 was the other guy. He was the popular spend up option who did very well. But no, we get a nice slate to rebound with tonight. I think it looks like a really good one. A lot of good plays. And it looks like we are maybe at the tail end of COVID stuff. Utah is kind of going through it. A few other teams look to be on the tail end, but then we have teams that are getting back to full health outside of like the injuries that they're dealing with.
Yeah, pretty excited about that. And we'll definitely jump into that Utah situation. You know what? We can start with it because it would still be in chronological order. Right now, they're catching plus 11 with just a wild lineup there, AP. And I don't want to say for sure, but of course, the speculation is that they just don't want to risk any of these guys testing positive and then getting, I don't know if detained is the right word, but forcibly quarantined like Coach Ty Lue did for the Clippers. So they said, we're not even going to risk it. We're going to send over the minimum 8 guys. One of them being who just got signed here. The kid that was Daniel House. Was he the one that got in trouble during the bubble for having the girl in the room? Am I thinking of the same person?
It could be. Real quick, spread. I got a question. Like they said, Jordan Clarkson, Hassan Whiteside, and I believe Royce O'Neal went through shoot around. Rudy Gay did not. Do we know? It's in Toronto. Do we know if they traveled with the team? Or is that
no? So they didn't send anyone that like is on that list. So let me pull up on Basketball Monster right now. Anyone that's like out didn't travel. So,
but Royce O'Neal, Hassan Whiteside, Jordan Clarkson, questionable.
So they traveled. Yes, anyone questionable traveled. So the people that didn't travel were Conley, Bojan, Ingles, Donovan, and Rudy. Right. So. Gotcha. Arguably their best 5 players. Maybe you can make it argue, with the 4th and 5th, right? But they basically said, we don't want any of our guys to get caught up here. We'll keep them home. We'll punt on this game. And the line reflects that at plus 11. So I'll tell you what, I don't really want to get involved in this, right? There's no way for me from a gambling perspective to accurately estimate this lineup. I would have to be just basically going off feel, which we do sometimes when we don't trust our model, especially with all these ins and outs. But for this game, I'm fine staying away from both the side and the total. What are your thoughts? And then I don't think there's any way we can ignore this from the DFS side, though, right?
Yeah. So, like we said, Hassan Whiteside, Jordan Clarkson went through shoot around. Rudy Gay didn't, but it had like a personal reason tag by his name. If they all play, they're all cheap. They're all gonna, see good complement of minutes here. So yeah, they're going to be very, very strong plays in the DFS streets tonight. We just got to stay on that news. If a couple of them get ruled out, then we're going to be down to like those 8 players, and these scrubs are going to be in play. Jared Butler, Trent Forrest, Eric Paschall, like who knows? So we need to wait. We need to get more information. I already have the Toronto side as just fades. Not going to go there. In chat, a few people brought up the idea of maybe Toronto rests a few guys. I could see that. I could also see Nurse just treating this game as like rarely has a team been fully healthy throughout this whole season. So like your core starting 5, you probably don't have the normal minutes like a normal season, like all together as a group. And they've been playing this little small ball with Siakam at the 5. I think they use it as an opportunity just to get that group tighter and better because it's looked good. But I do see this being a blowout, and I do see like that side of this game being very risky as far as minutes go. Like Fred VanVleet usually gets around 30, but we need a close game and probably like 37 minutes out of him in this matchup. And I just don't see that happening here. So fading the Raptors side, tons of interest in the Jazz side for me.
Yeah, we're waiting on the news for that one. As far as your speculation on how Toronto's approaching this game, and I hope I'm using the phrase right? But it's like, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. If Utah's going to hand you the game, take the game, right? Don't sit your guys too.
Exactly.
And this might be a theme. And I heard, I can't remember who was talking about it, but they were actually looking towards, if you can bet regular season win totals live or for the playoff perspective, forever how long this goes, how many teams are going to opt to do that? Because my guess is that the players have some input in here, right? I mean, Rudy Gobert is obviously almost the face of COVID for the NBA, right? And I bet you certain players are going to say, you know what? I went out in New York last night. I was around 1,000 people. I might test positive, right? I'm vaccinated. I might not even feel the symptoms. I don't even want to risk it, right? Because if you test positive in Chicago, you're chilling in a Chicago hotel room. Everything's the same. I think a lot of them do have the fear of testing positive up north. And if that's the case, Toronto might be someone interesting to look for as far as playoff props. But that's all I have on that game. And of course, as Travis likes to say, wait for the news. And that's what we'll be doing. And I don't think we can give out, the accurate ones there other than saying, hey, we're going to have interest in these guys. But we will know for sure. And that's where becoming a member of Run Pure Sports pays off, because, when we do get this news, because I'm assuming it'll be early, right? Because it's the first game, right? So it should be before even all the lineups.
One of the first one. Yep.
Yeah. It's going to be in the cores.
Game. Yep.
Yeah. It's going to be in the cores, and they're going to be talking about it on the final countdown live. So make sure you're a member of Run Pure Bets and use that promo code GetBets, and you'll get access to my plays and the rest of the fellas as well. Let's talk about the San Antonio Spurs, who are plus 7.5 now in Philadelphia. 76ers my 7.5, total 220. So, one of the ways that we handicap the NBA, and it's funny, right? Because I've been picking up my tennis responsibilities as well, but it's like tennis, right? We like to fade the travel, and the Spurs have had a heck of a trip, right? Brooklyn, New York, then they went up to Toronto. Now they're back. I think they came back to play Brooklyn, and now they're in Philadelphia, right? So they've been on the East Coast for a little while, and they've had people in and out of the lineup here. Tonight, they'll be missing Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, Derek White, and Doug McDermott. Lonnie Walker is questionable for this team. 7.5 indicates that, right? Because if you just run the numbers, I don't think you have Philly winning by 7.5, even though they've won 5 in a row. However, I still think it's a little high. I haven't got involved, but if I did, I would take the points with the Spurs. Totals 220. Overs have been hitting, AP. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm back on the overs wagon. So the key for me is DeJounte Murray's playing. He's been playing very good. While he's a decent defender, this group as a core, the Spurs side, hasn't been that great defensively. And even though the 76ers haven't been as locked in, especially in the backcourt, as far as defense goes, on the Spurs side, you get Bryn Forbes, which, a shooter. The debate is out there if he's a good shooter or not, but he's definitely a shooter and not a good defender. And then you got Seth Curry, you got Korkmaz, you got guys on the Philly side that can hit threes too. So should be a good game with a lot of points and maybe not as much defense here. So I feel most confident in the over, and I like DeJounte Murray was limited. I think they said he was limited to around 30 minutes last game. They played him 32, almost 33. I expect him, if the game stays close, to get back to his 36-plus roll. And unless it's just, a disaster from the start. We've seen Pop in times like that where if the starters are just playing bad, he'll just pull them all. But he hasn't done that as much with DeJounte Murray this year. The guy's just been an absolute stud. One of my rules all season long, I'm looking at opposing point guards, much like Murray against this Philly team. So I think he's interesting in tournaments. He's going to be very low tonight. And actually, the way I'm running it back, so Tobias Harris right now I don't like playing him, but this Philly crowd, as you know, spread, they are pretty ruthless, and they've been giving him a really hard time. And even Joel Embiid, I believe he made a statement saying he was trying to feed the ball, get his buddy going, Tobias, a little bit more. And we saw that last game. So I expect that to continue in a matchup he should be able to get it done in. And he's coming off a nice game against Orlando. So now they get another cupcake matchup against a depleted Spurs team. Good spot for Tobias, who's 7.8K to have himself a nice game here.
Yeah, and it's I was thinking. So I say this every single time you're on the show. It's a good matchup for Joel Embiid, and I started thinking, I'm like, well, when isn't it a good matchup for Joel Embiid? He even does good against like Rudy and Capella, right, and Turner, the best defensive centers in the NBA. He still does well. When we're looking at spend up options, I mean, we can't not talk about him. 11-2. Any interest in Joel Embiid, or do you have better ideas for your spend up tonight?
My spend up at center, if I'm going there, is Jokic. Jokic just it looks like prime Jokic against your Kings tonight. And it's like Philly, man. They're pretty ruthless. Like the stuff I was seeing, maybe it's just you're seeing the isolated highlights there, but when your own players are like, feeding you the ball and letting you get more opportunities to get those stats up, I'm going to pay attention to that. And so that's Tobias here. Like I don't love the guy, but man, I thought last game was really interesting. It was interesting to hear Joel Embiid say that. And then Curry. I think Curry is another good, strong option there. One thing about Korkmaz, so he had a really good game. His shooting percentage is down on the year, and I was listening to some NBA radio, and what one of the commentators was saying is just like his role has changed. He's had to pick up point guard duties with the second unit. Not usually used to that. Usually he's used to standing around waiting for a shot. So like his legs are getting to him a little bit. And on these off nights, like that kind of makes sense. When you're tired and you're feeling your legs, you don't get that jump into your shot. So it could be a reason why his 3-point percentage is down quite a bit on a year-over-year basis.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting look there. So
no thoughts on the side. Like they're still fine plays though because of the usage that they're getting. The overs for me. Man, DeJounte Murray, like God, he's been such a difference maker this year. He's been so good, and I have confidence in the over, and that's about it.
Sounds good. Let's talk about basically the marquee matchup of the night, right? I know they tried for it in the evening. I don't know if this one is as intriguing, but the Milwaukee Bucks are now plus 4.5 in Brooklyn. The Nets, Milwaukee's first visit to Brooklyn since, of course, the infamous toe game, right, where Durant's foot's on the line. They go to OT. Yep. Nash didn't even bother resting him. So Durant's running around there on a sputtering gas tank, and he just ran out, and none of us even downgraded him or even had anything bad to say about him because how much he had carried that team. They've met once so far this season. It was in Milwaukee. Milwaukee got the win. The Nets have actually struggled against the NBA's best. They're 0-7 against the Bucks, the Warriors, the Heat, the Bulls, and the Grizzlies. So they have yet to win a game against one of these top teams that I just mentioned. I think they have a great opportunity tonight. Cluster injuries is usually a term that we use in the National Football League, but it applies here tonight as Milwaukee's missing Jrue Holiday, Pat Connaughton, Grayson Allen, and George Hill. Giannis listed as probable. I'm not falling for that. We're capping that game as if he's playing. I would be really surprised if he sits. This line tells me that he's playing because if he was out or they thought he was going to be out, this would be between 7 and 8.5. So my idea is Giannis is playing, but the rest of the guys aren't. And this is Brooklyn's really first chance to get back to full strength. Of course, we know Irving's going to be in and out. It's at home. He won't play. But other than that, they are looking pretty clean. They still have the Joe Harris injury. And I think that's it, right? So they've got everyone back. And I think they're able to attack this, right? I think this is bad news if you're trying to slow down James Harden because, like what do you do? Put Middleton on him, put Giannis on KD. I think that you're really struggling defensively here for Milwaukee. So it sucks because you guys, you've been on the show with me. You know how much I love the Bucks. I ride them all year. But unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to jump in and take them in this high-profile matchup tonight. Give me the Brooklyn Nets. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I do. I do agree with you there. We saw Kyrie back last game, and they struggled against the Pacers. But that's kind of normal when you get a key piece back.
But they still covered against the closing line.
Did they end up covering?
Yeah, it ended up, I think it was 129, 121. So that's an 8-point. So if you got it at overnight, it was plus 8.5. It went down to 6.5. So anyone who bet
what was the final score?
I think it was 129 to 121.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it looked pretty painful early on, especially with the guys. Indy was rolling out. I mean, that one dude, I forget his name.
Dwayne
they
Washington
said he's 6
Kiefer
foot.
Sykes.
Kiefer, they're like, he's 6 foot. No way. He like 5'7". Like he's out there. Like, I mean, maybe. I mean, but this game is really. I agree with you. I struggle to lay the points here. Maybe like I'm just looking at this lineup from a my thoughts on this are far more confident from a DFS side. The peripheral pieces, so like you're anyone outside of James Harden and Kevin Durant, I'm under projecting because we know Harden and KD are going to get all the usage. On the Bucks side, man, look at this. Like, we're getting point Giannis now. They have like no one who can really, like Javonte Smart, he's listed as their point guard. And then who else? Like Rodney Hood. But so we're going to get a lot of point Middleton, point Giannis, a lot of buckets in the paint, or Giannis driving and kicking it out to some of these guys. I think Jordan Nwora is going to have to play a pretty big role here. We've seen Portis get into some foul trouble lately. So, like, just think about this. If Portis gets ruled out, they're going to probably bring Nwora in, move Giannis to the 5. That would make sense. You have Sandro and then Giannis. I mean, I don't think those guys are going to play like a huge role here. And then I think Middleton and some of these backcourt guys have to play big minutes. So from a DFS side, I have a ton of interest in this game. I think Giannis is one of the top overall plays on the slate. If this game stays close, I don't see how he doesn't have one of those like just monster 73 plus DK point nights. Like, I think he has to for this game to stay close. So a ton of interest there. And then if you can find a way to run it back with Kevin Durant, who's 10-3, who also will have to have a big game, in my opinion, for this one to stay close. I think that's an interesting way if you want to attack those two studs. As far as like the over-under, my initial lean was under. Like, we've seen some of these games get to be more, while we think they're going to be an offensive battle, get to be more of a possession versus possession, not so much like in transition, especially when we're in the second half and especially when we're in the fourth quarter. So a slight lean maybe to the under here, especially with Holiday out. I think, Wesley Matthews, if Hood gets in there, you're going to see more of a defensive effort from the Bucks. Because, I mean, it's spread. Like, for the Bucks to win this, they got to play good defense, right? I mean, they're not going to win a shootout against the Nets. Yeah. So
especially with this lineup, right? And I think one thing that's going to be interesting is how are they going to stop the point of attack? If you remember last time, Drew Holiday was so key in attacking the Nets point guards and really preventing them from getting into their sets. And that's why Kevin Durant was looking so heroic, because so many times they were throwing him the ball with less than 10 seconds on the shot clock, right? And it looked like they were going to have a great defensive possession and he would still get the bucket. I think they're going to be able to get in their sets a lot easier tonight. So that's going to be a very interesting thing. My final point on this.
A take for James Harden then. That's how I'm hearing that. I like that.
That's what I'm thinking.
I like that a lot. Yeah, I like that. Because if you look at his box score, which a lot of people are going to do, he had those monster games and then a 38 piece and a 35 piece against the Pacers. People are going to look at that and be like, man, I'm not going there. I like that call quite a bit. James Harden for sure. If you're not going KD.
Yeah, and my last point on this game, and there would be an argument of taking Brooklyn on the spread, and I'll harken back to last series playoffs. That was a great series with not a lot of good games. Game 7 was epic, right? But most of the other games were actually blowouts, and whoever won covered the spread, right? There was, I think, maybe only one game where the spread actually mattered. It was pick the winner. The spread doesn't matter because they were close to being blowouts. So I'm afraid that we could see a game like that tonight. As much as I'd like to see a fun battle of basketball, I think if Brooklyn gets ahead and starts rolling, that could be the way that things go in. So we will take a look on that one. But I do like the Nets laying 4.5 there. The Mavericks are -2.5 heading to Houston to take on the Rockets. You'd say, well, why is that line so short, right? Houston's one of the worst teams in the NBA. Well, it's because Kristaps Porzingis is out. Luka Doncic doubtful. This line tells me that they're not expecting him to play. as well as Willie Cauley-Stein, who's been out for a little while, and that's not an injury news. I'm not sure what's going on with him. Isaiah Thomas has still not made his debut for the team, and Trey Burke will be back for Dallas tonight. I'm not sure how much that really matters to the spread. Probably affects DFS a tad, though. On the other side, Usman Garuba and Alperen Şengün will be missing, so maybe a little more minutes there for bigs, Christian Wood and Daniel Tice there, with the other men being out. I think it's really tough to take Houston here. Now, I know they got the nice win, the feel-good win over Washington the other night here. And at first I was fading the Mavericks, right, because we've talked down about their supporting cast around Luka. But they played a lot of games without Luka, and they were able to do pretty well, right? So I think they gave the other guys a chance, right? Luka's so ball dominant, and the other guys got a chance to get in rhythm, and I think they understand how to play as a team with them out. I haven't bet it, but I think the only way to look at this one is the Dallas Mavericks. And, I'm probably higher in Houston than most. What are your thoughts on this one, AP?
Yeah, I'm with you. I would actually back the Mavericks here. Like, we've seen enough minutes with this Mavericks team without Luka, without Porzingis. I mean, Jalen Brunson steps up. Dorian Finney-Smith really becomes more of an offensive powerhouse when he's usually just like a 3-and-D specialist. Then we got Tim Hardaway Jr., which, the chat in Discord was talking about the Rockets killer. The guy just, goes off against this Rockets team. Now it gets like the absolute nut situation. I am high on the Mavericks here, especially from a DFS standpoint. Brunson becomes a phenomenal play. Dorian Finney-Smith becomes a really good play, and then Hardaway, I think, becomes a really strong play. I don't really play Powell or Reggie Bullock or those type very much. I'm going to just stick with those key guys. Christian Wood, his price still seems a little low here, 7-1. With Sengun out, you got to think he's going to continue to get a little bit more run. What happens with him is he becomes a little passive. Like, he started out so hot against the Wizards. And I think he went into halftime with 27 fantasy points already, and he finished with 43, which was solid. But I think he had a really slow third quarter. So if we could get him to stay aggressive all game, we've seen bigs against this Mavs team have a lot of success. I like him. And then I don't want to play this guy because I think he's a baby, but Kevin Porter Jr. I got to just get that out of my head. Him throwing a tantrum at halftime and leaving, but he's 6'3". He's you got to think the matchups here are good. If he can get a shot going, he's got nice upside. Coming off a 7 rebound, 8 assist game with 4 steals. He was just 3 for 13 from the field though. So, but he played good team ball. He got a lot of his teammates, to get it done offensively. So I think this game is going to set up to be pretty nice for DFS. Absolutely love the Mavericks side here. And then betting wise, the Mavericks side too. I'm not going to touch the total. I just don't have a good read on these teams when it comes to their total.
All right. Here's another road favorite that I lean to. The Minnesota Timberwolves laying 5.5 in Oklahoma City. Total of 219. The Timberwolves getting most of their stars back, so they will have Russell, Edwards, and Towns, who had been out of the lineup. Patrick Beverley is questionable, and the only one I see missing is Leandro Bolmaro, who has a ton of height, but I haven't really seen him produce at the NBA level yet. On the Oklahoma City side, not much of note. Isaiah Roby and Derek Favors, but I think Favors has been out for a little while now, right? So we're pretty used to handicapping this game that way. This Minnesota team has an excellent starting five when it is Russell, Beverly, Edwards, Vanderbilt, and Towns. That's by far their best lineup. If Edward plays, they'll have a chance to employ that tonight. I don't see how Oklahoma City keeps up with it. I like the Minnesota Timberwolves here. I don't like laying points on the road on a Friday night, but this lineup is just too much for me. And assuming that Beverly plays, I'm in on them. What is your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you. But then I also agree with you. I don't like laying points on the road here too. Again, especially with the Timberwolves. I mean, I still have nightmares from it was. I mean, they got lucky and it didn't really matter, but they were blowing out the Clippers. And in the third quarter, I just saw the most it was all ISO, it was all contested 3-point shots that they didn't need to shoot. I mean, it turned into a really ugly game. And so that just kind of gives me nightmares, especially like I wouldn't be surprised if like Josh Giddey and Shea showed up here too. They look like decent players. Friday night, the Thunder are bad, but they've shown the ability at times to show up and surprise teams that can kind of, let their guard down, which this Minnesota team looks like a team definitely capable of letting down their guard. But man, with everyone back, I think Pat Bev is questionable, but still they don't really need him to get it done here. A stay away from me and a stay away most likely in DFS for me as well.
All right, so you don't want the road favorite there. Can I interest you in a home favorite? I'm talking about the Chicago Bulls, -6, taking on the Washington Wizards. I've talked well about the Wizards as of late, right? I think that they are a little undervalued. I think they play good defense. Bradley Beal, and I'm sure you guys know when you're looking at the top of the best players in DFS as of late, right? Bradley Beal coming to life. So it'll be interesting because, and with Hoop was on, right? And we were talking about, is he doing so well? Because Spencer Dinwiddie's been out of the lineup and he's kind of reverted to his role. And then he's really a ball dominant guy. He needs the ball in his hands. So it's interesting to see. So Spencer Dinwiddie returns tonight. Aaron Holiday returns tonight. I think that helps the team. Tony Bradley, I think, helps the team as well. I'm not big on Tony Bradley's for Chicago. I'm sorry. Marko Simonovic is also back for Chicago. Not aware of him. They will still be missing Montrezl Harrell, who I think means a lot to that defense. Tremont Waters. I don't think Rui Hachimura has played this season. I don't know why he's still on this list. Davis Bertans. I don't know how much you really miss him. He shoots good every once in a while, but for the most part, I don't really count him towards anything towards the sped. Brad Wanamaker, same way. Thomas Bryant also been out for a while, so they're used to playing without him. Daniel Gafford getting that role there. But I think the jig is up for Washington here. I think that they're going to do well against the other, mid-tier teams, right? Those mid-range playoff teams, the play-in teams. And I was wrong about this at the beginning of the season, but I pivoted, I've changed course, and I've given the Bulls the credit where it's due. They are an elite team in the East, and I think that the Washington's going to find out the hard way there. I have this line at 7.5 or 8. At -6, I see an edge on the Bulls. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you here. I was just looking. So, yeah, they won in Washington 120, 119 not too long ago. And I think both teams had some players out there. We had no Dinwiddie in that game. Pace was very good. And one of the things, so I like the Bulls, and I have a slight lean to the under. One of my reasons is, you get Lonzo back, you get Derek Jones Jr. in the starting lineup. So, I think their perimeter defense is going to be good for the Bulls, which makes just a solid case for their side. But Spencer Dinwiddie does like to slow the game down at times and play half-court ball. So at least that's what I've seen this season. So I would lean the Bulls and then a slight lean to the under here too. As far as DFS goes, Dinwiddie being back takes the ball out of Beal's hands a little bit. And so that lowers his ceiling. It takes me off of him, takes me off of Dinwiddie, also takes me off of Kuzma, who's overpriced. The Wizards side for me is a full fade, very easy fade. And then the thing about the Bulls, any one of these guys could have themselves a good game. We've seen it, especially against a Wizards team. My guess would be maybe Nikola Vucevic, who had an okay game against them last time. But when you get all of these, their main guys in there on the starting lineup, it takes away from all of their ceilings, and they're all always priced up. So for me, another game where I'm probably going to be off of it in DFS.
All right, let's talk about the Sacramento Kings. They're heading to Denver to take on the Nuggets. Nuggets -8, total 227. We talked about betting the little edges earlier, right? I had a 1.5 point to 2 point edge on the last game. I actually have this one as a 2 point edge as well. But AP is for the Sacramento Kings, and I can't trust this team, so I'm just not going to take it, right? I don't blindly follow the numbers. I use them as a guide, but I said I don't like this trail that you guys are taking me down. This seems like an unsafe trail. I'm going to stay over here where I think it's safe. So I'm not getting involved in this game. Am I missing value on the Kings, or should I be looking the other way to the Nuggets? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not. I'm with you again, which I like. That's a good thing. Man, when I look at this, how Nikola Jokic has to be looking at this matchup and just like smiling. Marvin Bagley, Damian Jones has paid fine, but come on, like those two guys stand absolutely no chance against him. And then they have Alex Len behind him. Tristan, it's Jokic is going to be able to do whatever he wants. 8's a lot of points, but I guess if I had a bet aside either way, I'd side with the Nuggets here. I don't like it. The other thing too is like Jokic is having one of his better defensive seasons. So I think for the game to go over, I mean, you're going to have to think like Buddy Hield has to come off the bench and hit a bunch of shots. Fox is going to have to is going to have to stay aggressive. Like here's the difference between the Fox that I've seen over the last few games, who has been more aggressive, 21 and 23 shots against the Lakers and Hawks. The problem and why it's not translating to DFS success is because of Tyrese Halliburton. He really takes those peripheral stats away from Fox because, Fox is getting a lot, like he's become raw scoring dependent because they're using Halliburton, it seems like, in their offensive sets. So those two in this guard rotation really take away from each other, adding Davion Mitchell in there. The one thing about Davion Mitchell, it seems like his shot is off right now, which has really hurt kind of his overall play. I mean, if you're playing like a ton, like if you're 150 maxing, I would have him in your pool because we've seen like what he's capable of doing. I mean, I've seen games, I can't recall which ones they were spread, but like where he comes in and he hits like 3 threes in a row, and it's just a total spark plug for this team, and that leads to more minutes. We just haven't seen that of late, but I would not be surprised if that happened here against the Nuggets, who haven't been as good defensively against opposing guards. So interesting game for me. It's Jokic, and I don't feel the need to play anyone from the Kings side.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to agree with you there. They take away from each other in DFS, and from a fan's perspective, and even the players themselves, I simply think the Kings are doing everybody a disservice with this roster construction. Not just the stats, you can see how they take away from each other. And I'm all for drafting best player available, right? So kudos to you. But at a certain point, you're like, okay, now that we've accumulated these assets and they're all, our portfolio is a little heavy on the point guard position, let's try and use it to spread things out. So hopefully the Kings.
Okay, so I'm really curious, since you're a kid, and Kings are your team, right? Or right. Just there. Okay, so
yes, definitely.
If you were managing this team, you know the NBA very, very well. Like, what are you doing? Like Fox and Halliburton. I guess for me, I'm trading one of those pieces. Like I am too,
and I would
go ahead.
I would say I would think that Fox is going to get me the most, so I would go ahead and trade him. And my idea there also is these small market teams, right? The ones that are successful, right? San Antonio, Toronto, right? The ones that are consistently successful, they play good defense, right? And so Fox is great. He's going to help whatever team he's on, because on a good team that already has a winning culture established, I can hide Fox, right? I can have him cover the guy that's the small forward that just sits in the corner, right? But for now, to reset the tone of this team, I would do it with Davion and Tyrese, and I'd really make things tough on opposing teams' point guards. And also, I just think the Fox would give me the biggest return. We're not going anywhere right now. Give me those 3 draft picks. I don't even care if they're in the 20s. I think Monty McNair's done a good job choosing talent so far. Let's go ahead and parlay it now into a beautifully built roster. But, if they end up going with Halliburton, that's fine too. I also, just for the players, because I like them, right? I watch them, I root for them. I think they both could use, a fresh start where they're more focused, So it'll be interesting. I think Halliburton maybe fits into a contender a little better, right? Because Fox is so ball dominant. It'd be interesting to see where they go, but I hope something happens by the trade deadline. Who would you move?
So here's what I would do. I would do a full reset. I would move, and I would try to get a premier player that's young. You could build around. And then I would load up on draft picks, because I think there's a lot of talent up and coming here over the next few years that you could build, just go all in on these young guys. Because I think Halliburton has the ability to maybe carry a team, maybe a little bit too young now, but I would you got to think Harrison Barnes could return some value. Buddy,
he can get you a first rounder.
Fox.
Yeah, Fox. How about you? Hield, I wonder. Hield's probably a second rounder. Bagley's probably a throw-in. I don't think anyone's going to give any assets.
I would send him to the G League just to get some confidence back in his game. Is what I would do. I mean, he can be good. It's just
we've even seen him play good. There's something going on here. He needs a fresh start too. So hopefully McNair blows it up at the deadline because they've tried with this core for a little while.
It doesn't
just
work.
Not working. Yeah.
Yeah.
From the gambling perspective, though, even if the numbers tell you to take them, I think you're in my boat, especially on the road. I'll just tell my model hey, stop trying to trick me here. And if the Kings up kind of rain or they have a great night, so be it. But I'm fine staying away from this game. Here's one that I really like.
I think Davion, I'm not going to play him on my main team, but if you want to get risky, we've seen this Nuggets second unit just kind of be stale on especially offense when Jokic is off the court. Mm-hmm. Davion Mitchell, I think, could have an impact here. He just has to. He was doing it early on in the season. You have to think just the 21 minutes, 20 minutes of play is indicative to just his shot not falling. So if you want a low-owned tournament value play, I don't mind taking a shot on him.
Yeah. All right. AP, we have some road favorites. This is probably my favorite one. The Cleveland Cavaliers -5.5 in Portland, taking on the Trailblazers. This is really, Cleveland's a team that we really like, but everyone's caught on, right? They're not undervalued anymore. People know what they're getting with the Cavaliers. The Blazers, though, man, they've just been a rough watch. They have no Damian Lillard, no CJ McCollum. Anthony Simons did great the other night. Norman Powell's always good there as well. I just don't see this team getting stops. I'm struggling to see the chemistry. They moved on from Terry Stotts. They might have downgraded a bit, right? There's two that we talked about. We talked about that yesterday with the Celtics, right? All these fan bases want these coaches gone. And I watched the Celtics and I go, are you guys really better off without Brad Stevens? You guys were pretty quick to want him out of there. Are you sure you wanted that? I feel the same way about the Blazers and Terry Stotts. I don't think this team's living up to their talent. I'm fine basically just fading the Blazers until they figure these things out. Am I being too simple on this? What are your thoughts on the Cavaliers and the Trailblazers?
Yeah, I'm with you. The other thing we have to keep an eye on is a possible suspension there from Jusuf Nurkic. If they toss him, if he's out one game, then you get a really tight rotation.
What would the suspension be for?
Throwing that punch. It was a baby punch.
In which game?
Last game. Him and Tyler Hero got into it.
Oh, that one. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Right at the Hero. Yeah. He gave a hard screen and Hero jumped up and tried to do what Jokic did, but literally Nurkic did not move at all. And he just turns around and I don't know what Tyler Hero is thinking, but he would get absolutely demolised.
He's thinking there's plenty of security here. I don't have to last long.
I would Nurkic, man, those guys, you got to think some of those Euro. Where is he from? What country? I'm trying to think.
I'm not sure either. He's might be Bosnian or Serbian.
Bosnian, yeah. Bosnian. I would not throw down with. Yeah. Oh man, those guys are the wrong ones. But yeah, if they don't have them tonight, Jared Allen and Mobley are going to be able to do whatever they want. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for the Blazers to get. They're not going to get easy points in the paint. We've seen what the Cavs defense is like with Mobley and Allen in there. Man, they really make it tough on opposing front courts. If Nurkic is in there, it helps him because he'll hang with those guys for sure. It just comes down to Nurkic can't really play. He played 33 minutes. He's been playing, I guess, 33, 32 minutes, but the guy gets tired, So I wouldn't play Nurkic, but I'm just saying if he's in there, it gives them a little bit of hope betting wise. But if he's not, aside with the Cavs here, Darius Garland playing very well. And, coming off a game where he could not shoot the ball very good at all, but he had a fine fantasy outing. So I think him and my two tournament plays that I really like that almost force you to get different tonight because it's going to take you off of some of these really premier players like James Harden and Giannis, which may not be the right move, but Darius Garland and DeJounte Murray are just two guys with the ability to break a slate because we've seen how thin the Cavs are in the backcourt here, and they get one of the best matchups, man. Garland's going to have free looks all night. So I would be – the other thing too is on the Blazers side, Simons has been a phenomenal play due to just him having to do everything, and he's been playing very well. Tough matchup. Cavs have been playing much better defense. He's going to have to hit outside shots to get it done. So while this is a good game DFS-wise, I don't like a 6-point road favorite. It never feels good. But if I had to pick a side here, I'd probably, a slight lean to the Cavs.
Yeah, it's just tough to take Portland right now. So I screwed this up on Wednesday, but now I get to do it. Rajon Rondo makes his debut. I was wrong. Yeah. I thought he started on Wednesday. He did not. Tonight, he makes his debut for Cleveland. Dude, what are your thoughts on the addition of Rondo?
Perfect. Absolutely perfect, because you have just these bigs. Like, I think he could like what we've seen with Garland is Garland can play off the ball or on the ball. He's been very good with Sexton out, and I think the Cavs just need to move on from Colin Sexton, get a piece in return for him there. Well, depending on Rubio's status, but Rondo, he's just going to get in there and run the offense, and he can just lob it up to any of these guys. And so I see him having success. Rondo's good when he can distribute the ball. And the problem why he didn't fit on the Lakers is because he was playing with Russ and LeBron James, right. two other guys who rely on distributing the ball. So I think it's gonna be a much better fit here. The Cavs are having a good year, good season, and Rondo needs to step up and play good, because Rubio was just what he was doing on this team was massive. So it's not like Rondo's going to some scrub team where he can just be laid back. I think he's going to have a big role here if they let him and if he's good. So I guess to be determined, but I like the Cavaliers here.
Yeah, so I didn't like it at first, but I've talked to so many people whose opinions I respect, including yourself just right now, that do like the fit. So, wouldn't have thought so, right? A couple months ago. But now, to me, I've marked this down as I have to watch this, and I will be there. And it's kind of funny because I watch so much. I take notes while I'm watching, right? So I'll have the notepad next to me and being interested to see how he fits. So that was a great breakdown, AP. Reminder that great breakdown and other rest was brought to you by Run Pure Sports and RunPureBets.com. If you are not already, become a member of Run Pure Sports. Use the promo code GETBET. You'll become a member of the Daily Fantasy and the Bet side as well. The Atlanta Hawks are in Los Angeles, AP. They're catching 2 points. These are the old totals we're used to. I'm seeing a total of 231. And what's the old saying, calling the cavalry? The cavalry has arrived. I mean, I'm waiting for sure, right? So obviously, keep your eye on this. But this line is telling me that Bogdan Bogdanović is going to return. John Collins is going to return. And Trae Young's going to play. Cam Reddish also probable. Still waiting on DeAndre Hunter. That was not COVID. That was a physical injury. And Jalen Johnson, although with everybody back, I don't know how much run he will get. Lakers, pretty clean injury report. Just Kendrick Nunn still. Too bad. I thought he was going to be a really good addition for that team. I don't think I've seen him play more than 2 or 3 games for the Lakers. And LeBron James is perpetually probable. I expect him to play. I kind of like Atlanta here, getting everybody back. +2, though. It's pretty close. And, boy, it is tough to bet against LeBron the way that he's playing right now. How do you think that these new players returning to the rotation affect the Hawks? And what side are you looking at when handicapping this game?
Yeah, I like the overs here. And then I lean the Hawks. Russ coming off a game where he had no turnovers, and that takes me off of Russ and DFS. Like they were using Malik Monk, they were using LeBron as it looks like they're almost trying. Like I don't know what they're trying to do with Russ. I'll be honest, but LeBron, man, with how much they need him right now, they're almost going to run him into the ground. But the guy's been very good, very phenomenal. Tyler Horton-Tucker, I think, finally came off the bench, had a good game, which led to extended minutes. We've seen him have these stretches where he looks really good. For them to be competitive, they need him to do that for sure. And then Malik Monk's playing good too. So the Lakers on a 3 or 4 game win streak on the heels of good playing from LeBron. What are they going to do here, though? Like, you got Clint Capella. You're really going to – you're going to break LeBron if you're trying to run him at the 5. I think we might get one of those games where they try to start Dwight Howard. I don't know. It just seems like they have to for at least a little bit with Capella in there. Otherwise, I mean, Capella and John Collins could have nice games. Trae Young should be able to have a good game. I like the overs here. I think we're going to see a lot of points, and I think LeBron's going to have another big game here to keep it close. As far as like DFS, yeah, like the tough part about tonight's slate, we have some premier spins, like some really, really good spins. We have LeBron James, we have Giannis, we have James Harden or Kevin Durant. It's kind of the 4 primary spins on the slate, all very good plays. So it's going to come down to roster construction. And then here, what do you want to do with the game? In tournaments, I like what I saw from Tyler Horton-Tucker. He could be a surprise guy off the bench again tonight that leads to more minutes. I think he's really interesting. And then we just got to keep an eye on who the Hawks are going to get back. I mean, I could see them getting Trae Young, John Collins, and Bogdan all back tonight. Then they're just without DeAndre Hunter. And in that scenario, it probably reduces how much I like all of these guys, except for Trae Young. Trae Young has shown a ton of upside lately. So
he likes the spotlight, right? He loves
the spotlight. Yeah,
he likes Los Angeles, right? I mean, this kid is built to be a star, right? He doesn't get nervous. He raises his level of play when the spotlight is on him. I think this is a fun game. I think you made a great point though, just for season long, right? And it got me thinking what you were talking about. And you said, hey, we can't run LeBron into the ground. How much LeBron at the 5 can we do, right? And I remember going back to 2015, 2016, when Steve Kerr first employed the quote-unquote death lineup with Draymond at the 5, right? And the idea is we're going to be so small and fast, and Draymond can still protect the rim. He may not be as good as a 7-footer, but he's pretty close. And now we're so small and fast. What are you guys going to do to match up with us on the other end? I think Frank Vogel is going to have to take a page out of Kerr book. Yes, that's your best lineup, LeBron at the 5. And it's almost interesting now that he's paired with Anthony Davis, because that's 2 players who I think, excel at the 5 now at this point in their careers. But if I'm Vogel, I'm really careful deploying that like Kerr did, right? Because there's times in those years, right, when I bet on the Warriors and I wanted that lineup because I wanted to cover the 7 or 8 point spread that I had laid, right? Kerr's not worried about my point spread. He just wanted to win, and he was using it very carefully. A lot of times just in the third quarter, just to make that run, just to get him out, and then they would get the center. At the time, it was Andrew Bogut back in there. So I think you did something for season-long futures and just to be an NBA fan. I think you're right. Let's keep an eye on those minutes, because while it is the Lakers' best option currently, is it their best choice in the long run?
Yeah. I guess if I'm Vogel, what I would do is I would probably start Howard, and I would just use Russ, and I'd be like, attack Capella. Like get this dude in foul trouble early and often. Yeah, get him in foul, and then get your small ball in there. I could see that happening too. I mean, it would make a lot of sense, because if not, it's going to be Trae Young driving in the dish, just literally lobbing it up to Capella, who's going to have an advantage over all of these smaller Laker players.
All right. Well, AP, now's usually the time that we go for the core. And I know who I want to spend up for. I mean, we made some great arguments. Quick review, though. I want to get 2 studs in here, right? I'm going stars and scrubs. Where are we identifying the value here? Like, obviously, Utah. What other teams should we be targeting when we're building this core?
Yeah, we want to be targeting the Dallas Mavericks, too, in the mid-range. Okay. So if you can get if you can get a 2 studs in there, then maybe some punt value, and then fill it in with a bunch of mid-tier players, you're going to be very competitive tonight. You got to isolate some of these really strong games. And then the difference maker, and this is we were talking about me and Mangone actually in Discord, because I shipped the $200 3 max on Monday or Tuesday, and every player was from the cash pool except for one. And so it was a borderline cash type build with one guy mixed in. You're like Tyler Horton-Tucker, like a guy who, man, if the Hawks get off to a good start, they're going to need scoring. This guy's had a rough season, but you know what? Last game against the Kings, he looked good. 9 to 13 from the field. We know what he can do. He's the other guy in there that they really want to play bigger and to run the second unit to give LeBron some rest. So I'm not saying like I'm going to play him. I'm just saying you need that type of play mixed in with some of these more obvious plays. I think it's a very good recipe on slates like this one.
All right, so help me out here. I think Utah is the proverbial wait for the news. I think we got a pretty good idea, though, on Dallas, right? So I pulled up Dallas right now. I want to get 2 really high salary guys in the lineup. I'm going to have to take some really low value guys. I'm looking at all these names. Who should I be targeting from the Dallas Mavericks, in this 4K or less range? Or am I going about this wrong?
Yeah. In the 4. Okay. So for me,
like Kleber, Bullock, Powell, Trey Burke. I mean, are we going for any of these guys?
We have so much data on Dallas in these situations, at least that I've seen. That we know it's going to be Dorian Finney-Smith. We know it's going to be Tim Hardaway, who could come off the bench. It doesn't matter if he starts or comes off the bench. In my opinion, 5'1". We know he's going to be the guy that they look to score, and then we know it's Jalen Brunson, Maxi Kleber, however you want to pronounce it. Like he's fine. I like playing him in these spots when he's in the 3Ks. Dwight Powell, like he's fine, but he's more of a cash play. I haven't just seen that upside. Same with Reggie Bullock. So for me, we've seen upside from Finney-Smith. We've seen upside from Hardaway Jr. And then Bronson is just going to be a very, very popular play, especially on FanDuel. He is priced up, so like I could see his ownership being a little bit lower. And so right there in the mid-tier, it's Hardaway and Finney-Smith for me for the Mavericks.
All right, so if I want to start this core right now and I said I want to put Tim Hardaway in there, would you think that I'm off to a good start?
Yeah, I would think you're off to a great start. The Rockets killer.
All right, so who do we want to add there? Who do we want to add after that? Who do you want to add?
Yeah, let me put them in. Let's see. Let's add in. I'm gonna let you pick one of the studs. Let's go with. Let's assume Whiteside plays, and that's going to be another punt value that we add in. Let's go Whiteside, 3.5K on DraftKings.
All right, I like that. So now I'm looking, and of course I can't leave Utah out. I guess it's another if he plays, but what do you think of Jordan Clarkson?
Yeah, if he plays, he's phenomenal. I mean, sure, like the game, like if this game blows out, there's some risk, but we've seen this guy be able to get buckets and stuff. So he's projecting to be the highest owned player on the slate. So I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And how do you feel about that? Because I know that Mangone likes to fade ownership a lot. Do you think that I'm actually approaching this wrong now by throwing him in there with such a high projection for his ownership? Should we go a different route?
I think it really depends. I mean, the problem here, though, is kind of what you said. I mean, the Jazz might have 8 players tonight. And so blowout isn't really like that, like something I actually factor in because these guys are just going to have to play heavy minutes. And you've seen people like Clarkson, like, all the other, starters are sitting now. Clarkson is a key 6-man, arguably like 6-man of the year, potentially. I wouldn't be surprised if he would win that someday or if he has. I mean, I don't really know off the top of my head, but we've seen these guys really step up. And the other key piece is Rudy Gay. He's been very good. So if he's in there, a ton of interest in all of these guys.
All right. Yeah. Rudy Gay, only 4K, right?
Who's the stud that you wanted to get in there, though?
So, I mean, to me, it's between Giannis and Jokic, right? And you talked about point Giannis, and I think this is going to be a high-profile matchup. I think he's really going to be amped up to go, even if I don't think they win. I mean, I think this is a game where he could put up like 40 or 50 raw points, and Brooklyn still covers just because of the way that team is set up right now. Because they can't stop him, but they really have reasonable answers for everyone else. So as much as we love Jokic at 12K, let's spend up for Giannis. That gives us an extra 600 because I wouldn't be surprised if they're neck and neck at the top of the leaderboard at the end of the night.
Yeah, I like it. No, I'm with you there. I actually like if you put in Jokic, you're left with like 4.1K. then here's where you can get creative. Like Trey Burke's back. I'm not saying Trey Burke. There's going to be other guys like this, on these slates. Like there's just these values. Or you go Davion Mitchell. A play like that, 3.3K, Trey Burke, what is he, like 3 plug him in. It's gonna, because if you put Jokic in that build, you got 4.1 left, 4.1K left.
Yeah, that's why I'm really going to be searching for the value, though, because these two could get you to 140, right? Just off two slots, and then you're feeling pretty good. And, I'm okay with Davion getting, 23 points or something like that, right?
Yeah. If you get ceiling games out of these two guys, which you definitely could tonight, or you could go Giannis and then Jokic, or you could run it back with KD or go James and attack that game. And then if you just hit one of those value pieces that throws up like a 35, 40 type piece, which we've definitely seen happen, you are set up to absolutely print with some of the other very strong values on this slate. So I love that strategy. I think it's a good one. High upside and a good floor with the plays that we picked.
Yeah. All right. So I think if we start with Giannis, Hardaway, Clarkson, Davion, then the viewers can just choose whichever game they want to stack with that value. As they get the news on Utah, or maybe they want to go to Dallas, or maybe something late breaks in that Portland game, right? And
I would say Davion or wait for the news, because if you can adjust to the news, you might be able to find someone a little bit safer. But
remember to leave those notifications on, though, because these guys do have a potential to get scratched, especially Clarkson, right? And so you want that notification on so you can make that pivot right off the bat. So there you go for the court, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, brought to you by runpuresports.com. Promo code GETBETS to become a member. Let's do the best bets, AP. Let's do the best bets. What's your best bet today? Side total prop.
Yeah, let me pull that
why
back.
Did the Spurs just go off the board? Let me refresh Basketball Monster.
Let me, that's the. I didn't. Lonnie Walker's in. Right? Trey Jones is out. Lonnie Walker's in. So
that shouldn't change the line in my mind.
That shouldn't change. Yeah,
I wonder what they're afraid of. I hope we don't get late Embiid news here. That's always my worry when a Philly game goes off the board. At least they didn't wait till after lock to give it to us if that's the case. But okay, so it's back up at -7.5 on Bookmaker. That's funny. I wonder why it just got pulled.
Oh, health and safety protocols. Okay, I got you. Trey Jones. Trey Jones.
Oh, maybe they pulled it just thinking if one guy's got it, a lot of them can have it. And if I remember, the Spurs were relatively unscathed. I don't think that they've had like a huge outbreak yet, so I guess that could be a concern. So, all right, well, take that one at your own risk. It's back on the board at 7.5. What's your best bet today? Side total prop.
I'm going to say total. We're going back to the overs. We're going to say I like it at 230. Hawks Lakers over 230. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored in that game.
All right, I am placing that bet for myself right now. Boy, there's so many ones that I like today. But I'll settle it down to the home favorites. So I'm going to go between the Nets and the Bulls. And hey, why would I fade my favorite team, Milwaukee, when I don't have to? And I can go against the Wizards instead. And I'm actually taking a team that, right, it could be argued is in that same tier with Brooklyn or Milwaukee, right? So why am I going to take Milwaukee or Brooklyn at 4.5 against the defending NBA champions when I can grab the Chicago Bulls against the perennial 8th seed Washington Wizards, right? No one does the job in the first round better than Washington. So give me the Chicago Bulls -6. That's the best bet for the day. AP, do you want to let everyone know all the great content we have at Run Pure Sports for this weekend?
Yeah, we got 2 NFL slates starting on Saturday, 2-gamer. Then we got the Sunday normal slate. We treat that as normal content. So all the course will be up on Saturday. It's just I like it, and my Chiefs play. I know spread. I see that Raiders thing right there, right? But it doesn't matter. And then we got a full NFL slate. We got NBA each and every day. A new feature on that you'll see, I believe, today If you are a Saber Sim subscriber, a core play feature in there, player pool feature in there. Keep an eye out for that. And then we got our guy Keg. He's going to be live too on Saturday. Go and check out his live betting package. A bunch of different people hop on there. I know he's covering those 2 games, covering the NFL games on Sunday. So jam-packed spread. I mean, lots and lots of opportunity. And we got tennis starting up here soon, right?
Yeah, the tennis betting I'm still a little low on, but I've been doing the playbooks and the cores. And it's funny, AP. I mean, I feel good because I'm giving out great information to the people. My course has been good so far. I've just been filling them in, missing one player here and there. Like last night,
nice.
And it's tough to complain, right? But Nadal gets the walkover, right? And it was just like, man, that was my spend up, and I only get 30 points. And that was just a rough one, because everyone else did pretty good in the core that I had yesterday.
We got the Australian Open though coming up, right?
Yeah, that's what they're prepping up for right now. So
that's when I'll be back in 2 weeks. DFS streets.
Okay, perfect. Cool. That'll be 2 weeks. Wait. But Susie and I are working hard, and Matty Ice as well up until then. And I'll be helping with the playbook again tonight. Pretty excited to get off to a good start, right? At least I'm giving out some good ones. The only one that I've really had problems with is I put Opelka in one day. And did you see? You haven't been watching, right?
No. I mean, it's tough right now.
He gets hit in the head. A bird flies over and drops a little bomb on him, right? So he's got bird crap all over his hat.
Oh,
he doesn't have another hat, and the guy's got such a mop he can't play without a hat. So they do this, little bit of we're not sure what to do. The tournament organizers grab him one of the ball kids' hats so he can continue to play, but it's way too small for him, right? And then he just kind of fell apart after that. So I was disappointed in that. And then yesterday, I actually just missed a pick as far as putting Azarenka in the core. I thought she would do really good, and she did not. But hey, we're having a lot of fun, and I'm getting back into that one as well. So actually, I'll be working on the playbook. So for the Run Pure Bet schedule, we'll be doing Tyler and I will be back, but I know that most of you guys watch Hardwood Live, but that's why you subscribe to the channel. You'll get notified, and you have the rest of the weekend to watch it, because we'll be doing sides, totals, and props all today, and then go ahead and get the playbook and that core up. So I'll be working hard for the Run Pure members as well. AP, thank you for joining me today. Anything else before we sign off?
No, it's going to be a fun slate tonight. Really excited to get everything dialed in.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this lineup too. So thank you everybody for watching. Like I said, make sure you're subscribed. You'll be notified when Tyler and I go live. And hey, leave a nice comment, because I know that a lot of you guys watch, post not live, because you're watching the Hardwood Show. But we do appreciate you guys watching.